Hey everyone, how's it going? Solomon Christ here. In another video here, we're going to be going over custom front ends for N8N. It's an incredible thing when you can actually not only use automations and use it in the N8N backend, but it's really cool when you can start putting it into a custom front end where now you can actually create whatever you want in that front end. And this is great for like customers or the customer experience, the overall experience, especially when you're dealing with clients where you kind of don't want to show them the whole N8N backend, or if you want to create a web app of your own, right? In some cases, you're building maybe a SaaS platform and you want to, showcase something really, really neat where it's kind of like, the N8N magic happens kind of behind the scenes. The whole idea with this here is that you can customize the front end that you want and interconnect any N8N flows that you may have built. In this video training, we're going to go over how to build that custom front end for your own N8N automations. So if you're ready to go, let's dive in. All right, so here we are. We're inside of an empty N8N, flow here, and it's completely empty. There's nothing in it, okay? And what's going to happen now is, of course, we're going to be creating some form of flow here. First, I'm going to show you kind of how the webhook itself works and how to create the front end. And then I'm going to give you the code. So you need to join my school to actually get the base code. I'm going to kind of go over how that code works. But then from there, we're going to show you how this, actual interaction works, and then how to really customize it even more using ChatGPT or any other, of any of the popular AI systems right now. There's, Claude and Perplexity and so many others where you can kind of take this and shift it around to your needs. All right, so let's look at the actual web code itself. So here we go. I'm just going to open up Notepad++. That's kind of where I'm kind of coding this stuff here. And it looks quite busy, okay? But it's about 55 lines of code. So I'm just going to quickly go over kind of what it is and what it's doing. I'll zoom in a bit, okay? This is just a regular HTML page, all right, named index.html, okay? And you can run this anywhere that you want to actually, call the actual N8N webhook from. But basically what's going to happen is you've got your title. It's using Bootstrap. If you want to get some, kind of like nice little front end kind of visual look, using some jQuery inside of there. From there, we've got just a text, what is this thing? Custom front end. So none of this is really where the magic's happening yet. It's right here when we start getting into the form section itself. Okay, going a little bit deeper where you've got some form data, enter some information to send. Okay, this is where whatever you want to send into N8N is going to be. Okay, and so we're starting off with, just some basic data. It's going to be called input data. All right, and then there's a send button. All right, so that send button is going to literally, allow the entire automation to start. And I put there, please wait 30 seconds because when you're seeing it with the actual front end, it's just waiting for the N8N flow to kind of, work. And then you've got a response view, which kind of shows, what's going on, like what's the response that N8N sends back. Okay, so there we go. So that's kind of like the view or the visual. And then this is the script. There's some JavaScript inside of here and jQuery inside of here. And so as you can see here, please enter some data to send. And then you've got your webhook. This is the important part. What we are going to be doing is we are literally replacing everything up until here with your webhook information. All right, and as you can see, there's the rest of it there. But I'm going to show you how we do that inside of N8N. And then you're going to get your response output, and then we're using Ajax as well. So Ajax is another piece of programming that allows things to happen in real time. So it's like you could see it live. Okay, so that's the nice thing about Ajax code. All right, so now you got an idea. Let's go in on the N8N side and start working on an actual webhook flow, which we're going to interconnect here. All right, so here we are back in our N8N, okay, and we're going to start off with a webhook, okay. So we're going to type in webhook here, okay, and you notice that there's two actual nodes here, webhook and respond to webhook. We are going to need both. We start our flow with the webhook, and then we exit the flow with the respond to webhook. It's important that you do this the correct way, or else what's going to happen is you'll put in a webhook, but you'll forget to actually set it up to only respond using the respond to webhook, command or the node there. And what ends up happening is, yeah, you may be able to get the data in, but then it immediately will return or do something. And it's like, oh, wait, I was waiting for the AI or whatever I want to do inside of my automation, and then kind of decide when and what data I am sending back. And that's where the respond to webhook comes in as a node. All right, so let's start off with the webhook here. Okay, and over here you see the different methods here. You're going to see a path here, authentication, all right, and respond. So remember I was telling you respond? This one is very important. Make sure you are using the respond to webhook node as a response. And then you've got two versions of your URL. You've got a test URL that you'll be able to use like right now, and then you've got the production URL. And I'm just zooming in here so you can kind of see the real key difference here. So the test URL will have webhook-test, and the production URL will just have webhook. All right, really important that you set these up correctly, because what's going to happen is when you're testing it, well, this isn't live. So you're going to have to, when you're using this one here, you're going to have to do listen for test events, every time that you're going to run this, or else it's just not going to work. In the production version, you need to use a production URL, and then it'll work, but then the only way to kind of check it is you have to check like the executions on the N8N side before you know whether it ran and whether it did things. So it's basically, the difference is that each one is a different visual way to know that this thing ran. When you're building, you're going to be using test URLs, all right, and doing listen for test events, as I said. But when you are in production, you're not going to see it, okay? You're not going to see it here. You have to go into the execution list to see that it executed. All right, so let's go back to test URL. I'll reset the view size here. I know it's a little bit smaller. So I'm going to grab this test URL here, and you see here it's got this information here. So click over here, and it'll copy it to the actual clipboard. All right, and let's go back to Canvas over here, okay? And we could save our workflow here, all right? And then from here now, what we're going to do is we're going to go inside of our HTML, all right? And literally this front end here from this part where it says let webhook URL equal, you're going to go all the way to the end right here to the question mark here, and then just paste that in, okay? That's it. So as you can see here, you've got this information here, and then you've got the question mark, chat input, and so on. Don't worry about that. But basically what it's saying in plain English is it's going to be taking this variable here, chat input, and the information that it gets from the input data is what it's going to send along. That there is a get method. All right. Now, the get method, it's really not a safe method. We usually want to use a post method, because then this can be kind of like hijacked, especially when you're doing production things. I would recommend doing this more as an actual post, because then it's like you have to post the data. It's a lot harder to manipulate it by hackers. And that is where ChatGPT will come in to help you out. We'll get into that later on in the video. All right, so now that I've got this all set up here, let's go ahead and save this. And we're going to run it right from our computer here. So I'm going to go and open up index.html inside of a local web browser right on my computer. All right, so here we have it now, and this is what it looks like. It's a simple front end, all right? And we're just going to put the word hello. Now, before we do this here, and I'm just going to put this off to one side here, okay? And there we go. We've got this on the other side here. So that way we can kind of see both things going on at the same time. So first thing is I've got to click on test workflow. Okay. So now it's listening. It's waiting to hear a message. So I'm just going to put in hi, just like that, and hit send. All right. Okay, there we go. The good news is it picked it up. All right. That's what we were trying to test, is make sure that it is connected. Okay. So it is connected. That was the first step. All right. Okay. So now we're going to come back here in N8N. And we now need to actually put in an actual webhook node, but this time a respond to webhook node. All right. And let me actually just increase this here so you can see this here. And so what it's going to do is it's going to ask us what we want to respond with. So first, let's connect this up. All right. So there we go. And it's like, all right, well, I can actually, respond with JSON. So I'm going to actually just use JSON here. My field value. So let's see here, output, right? And we can name it anything, right? I can just put hello. Okay. So this is just JSON here, and I'm just doing that there. And I'm going to save that. And let's try this again. Okay, so I'm going to move this off to the side. There we go. Okay, so now I have to put this into listening mode again. So I click on test workflow. There we go. So now it's waiting again. I click on send, and there it is. Now I get the output. All right, it's straightforward. Okay, so now we've got the input and we've got the output. There you go. So now you're able to do everything you want in between this. Okay, and here's the thing. You can actually output several different responses. So you don't just need to have one. I mean, it's not, you could do one if you'd like, but you can have several of them based on if statements and so on. So like whatever you create within these two sections here, you can have several respond to webhooks, that are going out doing different things. You can respond how you wish, but I usually use JSON, and then from there, how you want to use that JSON is up to you, right? So you could use it in so many different ways in the actual web app that you're building. I've got a customer actually who wants to take this webhook, and what ends up happening is on his phone, he gets customer information, right? So he will end up getting, a person's first name, last name, and email, but they send it to him via text, and it's like, hey, you know what? Hey, my name is Mary, and I met you at, so and so place, and here's my email, here's my phone number, let's connect. All right. So he'll get that as a text, and now he has to kind of go and put it in and put it into his systems, and all he wants to do is just send an email out, but he's got like a custom email that he's already set up, and he has it in like English and Spanish, and it's like, okay, he just wants to literally just copy that, paste it into a workflow just like this, just like right here, and hit send, and automatically they should show up as draft emails inside of his Gmail, ready to go. That's it. Nothing crazy. Okay, very, very simple. And it makes his life easier. And that's what we're going to do right now in this example here is show you how to do that. And we're going to build out, that actual automation out. I'm going to actually remove this webhook because I don't need the second one right now. All right. So as you can see, we've got the chat input here. And as I said before, it's coming in via a get command. And the get command here, it's a little bit more, dangerous, security wise, because, anyone can then take this URL and then just change this part here, right here, into anything they want. And we call that injection. All right. When they inject something into like a system, but it can be a security risk. Someone could come in and put in some data that could cause trouble and, really cause some problems. So what we want to do is before we continue, I want to make this actual, entire front end here, instead of using a get, I wanted to use a post. And the thing is, I don't have time to go and figure it all out, even though I know what's going on, and I could do this if I wanted to, but it would take me a while to go and research online and everything. Enter our friend ChatGPT. All right, so I'm going to select all this here, and I'm going to go to ChatGPT now. All right, and so I'm going to say to ChatGPT, I need you to take this front-end code, which will be used with my N8N webhook automations, and instead of a get, I need it to be a post. Please recode this. And then I just paste in all the code, hit enter. All right. And ChatGPT will go and it'll just figure it all out, which is great. And that's what I love about it. Okay. Literally, it'll actually do all of that. And the post version is so much more secure. All right. So that's a really, really good thing. But there are a few changes that we need to make inside of our, N8N code to actually, help that out. So I'm going to copy that there. Okay. We're going to come back here and I'm just going to paste the entire thing. All right. And this is the post edition now. Okay. And as you can see, this is the webhook URL. All right. This is the one that you're going to be changing all the time. Okay. And so now what's going to happen is when I actually do the post, okay, specifically, as you can see here, it's going to be the same chat input data that's coming in, but this time it's going to be via a post. So let me just show you here now. I've saved this information and I'm back here inside of my N8N. Okay, so I'm just going to go here. I'm going to double click on this. And now over here, the HTTP method, I'm going to change it to post. Okay, very important that I do that. All right. So now let's just save this here and let's actually listen for a test event. Okay. So first and foremost, make sure you refresh this page here. All right. And as you can see, this is updated. This is the post one. All right. Listen for a test event here. All right. Just put in hi. All right. It's going to return back an error. There we go. Because we don't have our ending node, which we have to connect it to. So let's actually just connect this guy up here. All right. Just like that. Okay, let's save it and let's do that again. Okay, test workflow, send. There we go. Hi, hello. And as you can see, this time it came in and the chat input is there again. But this time it's coming in via post. And that is an important distinction because now it's a lot harder for some programming language to inject inside of a URL. All right, so that's going to save you, even though it's still possible. But this is now just another layer of security. All right. Anyways, we've set that up. There was another reason why I showed you, the ChatGPT editing, and this is really important. What you can do now with ChatGPT is take this and edit this to any way that you want. So if you want a better set of visuals, you can now say to ChatGPT, here's my code, and who knows, maybe you want to add some images to it. Maybe you want to make it look really, really nice. Maybe you want to, look at some other websites and say, hey, make my site look like this. You can do all of that now with this code. All you have to do is just copy paste this in and say, here, ChatGPT, here's my code. I want you to make now the front end to look, something similar to, I don't know, this drawing that I draw on a piece of tissue. I want that front end, whatever you want, right? And it'll do that. And now it's already got the interconnections. All you need to make sure of is that your actual connection to your N8N is here, okay? And you have to make sure you updated it for whether it is in test mode or in production mode, all right? Those are the two URLs, okay? All right, so now let's get back in here, and we're going to continue working on this programming challenge. Basically, going back to how we actually do things, if you haven't seen my last video, I'm going to lay it out here again, all right? We are going to be using the acronym SPLAT. Okay, so that stands for the user story. So what's a story? All right. P, problem breakdown. Okay, so problem breakdown. Next is L, where we lay out the automation. Next is AI. So, check if AI is needed. Okay. If it is, put it in. All right. And then finally, testing. Okay, so we want to test this, make sure it's doing what we, expect it to do. So we're going to use that entire methodology again here. So the user story in this case here is that, the customer wants to take a text message, right, on their phone, okay, and then they want to actually paste it into a web form, okay, and then, generate emails, okay, 2 of them, all right, as drafts, 1 in English and 1 in Spanish. Okay, they need to extract. All right, so they need the phone number, email, and name. Okay, and that's probably first name, last name of the customer. All right, whoever it is. So they're going to get this text where the customer has shared this information with them, and all they're going to do is they're going to copy and paste this in. All right, so basically we're going to now break down this problem here. Okay, and that's what we're doing now in the next step here. So what is the breakdown here? So we've got a text message. All right, so this is some message. All right, so we know something's coming in. So this is the input. All right, then they're going to paste it in. All right, so that's going to go into the web form. We need to then generate emails. Okay, 2 of them in English and Spanish. All right, from this. And the way we do that is we would have to understand, their name, email, and phone number from, some text input. All right, so that's like, I guess we're going to put that in the second step or second part of it. The first part is we get the message input. So we have to break down using, I believe in this case, we're going to use some AI. So once again, is AI needed? This is where we're kind of thinking through this problem itself. And then we're going to generate some emails, and it's going to be as drafts, okay? As drafts in Gmail. And then the last thing is just output something, okay? Some note to state if it is done, or some error, right? So basically now we've broken down the problem, so we kind of got an idea now of what needs to be done. And now we're going to start laying out nodes. And we already determined, if AI is needed. But the reason why I put this afterwards is after we actually lay out the nodes, you may realize that actually you didn't need AI. So even though we're actually saying that we need AI, maybe we don't, right? But in this case here, I believe we will, because we're trying to make it really easy, as we're going to have text in various formats and various ways. So we're going to take in the message that we already got from the chat input. Okay, we've already got the front end, we've got the chat input. So I'd say this is already done. Okay, so we can actually just mark that off as done. And I'm just going to put this capital letters here. This is done. What we need to do here is now take in some information and convert it using AI. So I'm going to throw in an AI node here. So let's actually do that here. So AI agent. Okay. All right. And we're just going to connect this guy up in a basic way, get a chat model here, and we'll use, in this case here, I'm just using OpenAI. Simple, OpenAI, throw it in. And then we connect up that. And from there, what we're going to do is we're going to tell it what it is. But let's go into ChatGPT and kind of get some ideas, yeah, based on what we had discussed. Here's a problem breakdown in the user story. So literally just paste this information in, right? Show it to ChatGPT. It's like working with a teammate, okay? So I'm just going to put this here. And now GPT kind of understands what you're trying to do. So I'm going to literally just take this and we're just going to set this up just like this. So that's the beauty of this, is now it's kind of like worked out the flow for me in N8N. And I'm just going to copy that there. I'm going to go over here, go into my AI agent, and I'm going to now change this from the user message to define below. Okay, I'm going to paste this information in, and I could actually do this here. I can actually change this to expression. That makes it a little bit easier. And then this little, icon here at the bottom right, click on that, and it gives you like a bigger view. Okay, in this case here, the text that's coming in is actually going to be the chat input. Okay, so that's what we want to paste here, and delete this guy here. Okay, so that's it. So now it's interconnected. All right. And what we want to do is we've got the result as JSON. And so we also want to add a few more items here. So we've got, extract the person's first name, last name, email, phone number from the text. All right. So another thing that we want to put inside of there is that we want to make sure that it always outputs JSON. So always output JSON. Now, here's the next thing is there's times where GPT will not output this. So we have to add another node to this here. So if I come back here now, I need to have an if statement. Okay, so if, all right. And what we're going to be doing is first I need to run this. Okay, so now as you can see here, I put this if statement, inside of there, and every single time it's kind of outputting like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to get ChatGPT to help us out here. All right, and we're going to ask it to create us an actual code using some JavaScript here. And so I'm going to say to GPT, all right, so GPT, my AI node keeps outputting like this. All right, can you create a code script so that it always outputs JSON and parses this? All right, so it's going to now create a nice little JavaScript code for me. Okay, very simple, straightforward. And so it's assuming that this is the output here. Okay, and that's what it needs to output. Okay, and I have to actually put inside of here, can you simplify the code and also make sure it always outputs JSON, even if it's empty, because that's a requirement of the actual code node. It has to always output some form of JSON. All right, so here we go. This is the JavaScript. It's going to now always return some form of JSON string. Okay, so I'm going to click on that there. We're going to copy that, and we're going to go ahead inside of N8N. I'm going to add a code string here. Okay, or sorry, a code node, not code string, code node. Paste that in. All right, so now it's actually looking for that there. And instead of this part here, I'm going to throw it inside of this. Okay, so specifically it's inside of this. And in fact, actually, what we're going to do is I already know that the output is going to be like this. So I have to first check inside of this if node before we actually go forward. I'm going to check in this if node if output exists. Okay, so if output actually exists, then I know that, it's actually in this format. Okay, so if it's true, then I want to actually connect it up to this code node. All right, and so that's going to be true. There we go. All right, now from here, this code node is going to output it just like that. As you can see, first name, last name, email, phone. So basically what's going to happen now is this AI agent is going to get some data. It's going to come out as an output. Okay. However, it's not in the correct format. So that's why we created this code to actually put it in the correct format where you got the first name, last name, email, and phone. But that's the correct format there. But that's only if output exists. If output doesn't exist, maybe, AI already got it correct. And so now what we need to check is, does JSON.firstName exist? Now, if it does, it's going to go to true, which is equivalent to what this is here. So they both are correct. And if it is not, what we need to check now is, well, okay, I want to actually loop this. The trouble is this could loop forever, okay? And that's going to eat up all your AI credits. So what we want to do is we want to use another variable that's built into N8N that will count how many times this looping has been done. And so we're going to throw another if statement inside of here. All right. And there is a special value built into N8N. Okay. And as you can see here, if it's false, it's going to come here. And that value, if I put in two braces and I close the braces here. Okay. Oh, there it is. It automatically did that. It's called $run index. Okay. Just like that. All right. And it is a numerical value and it will count every single time this node is hit. It will actually count up. Okay. So how many times this has actually been run. So now it's a number and I want to make sure that it is less than 2 in this case here. Okay. So how many times before I say, okay, this is not something I want to run again. Okay. So as long as it's less than 2, all right, which is, it's true if it's less than 2, then I can loop it. All right. But when it goes above 2, well, now the entire flow is run twice. I'm going to just output it right back into the webhook. Okay. And there was an error, or I'm going to put some, code and say, okay, there's an error, whatever message I want to do. But, I should put an output that says, hey, there's an error. I was not able to do what you needed. All right. Because the actual data did not come in correctly, which is we need it formatted as first name, last name, email, phone. Now, these two are going to pick up both of those main use cases. I'd say about 99% of the time, these two will be fine. But in the rare 1%, you can actually have it where it doesn't pick it up. And if it doesn't pick it up, it goes and does a loop 2 times. Okay. So that's going to take care of like 99.999%, in my opinion, anyways, the majority of use cases or edge cases. But in the rare situation that it doesn't, we're going to send back information saying, sorry, we couldn't do it. All right. So now that we've got that, the next thing is we've got a first name, last name, email, and phone. Now we need to connect up our Gmail. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to type in Gmail. All right. And we're going to be creating draft messages. So if you actually go down here, you're going to see draft actions. We're going to create a draft. All right. And specifically, there's going to be 2 drafts that we're creating, English and a Spanish email that are going to be created. All right. So I'm going to actually now take this information. All right. And I could actually take this just like that. Both are going to be outputting to me, the exact same thing, which is going to be first name, last name, email, phone. All right. And if I want to do like a more, advanced check, I could check for all 4 of them here. There we go. We've left nothing to chance now. Okay. So it has to have all of those. And then if it does, this is going to come in and you're going to now see this set of items here. Okay. What we're going to be doing. In this case, we're first going to create an English email. And we're going to go back here and let's just run that code there. Okay. So click on our front end code there and we're just going to paste this in. All right. Hit on send. There we go. And there was a problem executing the workflow. Well, we didn't put it into test mode. So let's put it into test mode again. All right. Oh, and we have to connect this up. So let's just connect that up. So it's already there. There we go. And over here, just put like test and message test. All right. So it's going to, yell at us if we don't do that. Hit save. There we go. Test workflow. Let's do this again and hit send. There we go. It's going into the loop. All right. And it's apparently done. Okay. So now we've got the data back. John Doe, there's the information. And, it's got a draft email inside of my Gmail. So as you can see, it's already got the test email inside of there. So that worked out correctly. Okay. And as you can see, we've got this subject here. Hello. And then we'll put the first name. All right. There we go. So as you can see, it says hello, John. All right. And then the email type is text. And then the message, I'm going to open this up here as an expression so that it's a little bit bigger. We could see that. And then I'm going to paste the information. And this is the information here that we actually want, just like that. So it picks it up correctly. And we've got the email. And so now we need to take this email because it's like, who's it to, right? Well, we have to click on add option here. And to email is what we need to add in. And then we're going to click and drag the email section here, just like that. All right. And we'll put down, this info here, like, thank you for reaching out. We'll get back to you shortly at your provided phone number. And then I'm going to connect up, if I actually go into a much bigger screen here, the actual phone. So I'm going to click and drag that in. Just like that. There you go. All right. And as you can see, this is the result of that, information there. Now, of course, you can actually, edit it the way you want. And that's the English email. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this connection here. And I'm going to duplicate this now. All right. And specifically, what we're doing is we're going to now have these guys connect up here, the true and the other output there. And this is going to be my Spanish email. All right. And one of the things that you want to do is kind of like name these things. So like Gmail, English, right? So that'll make it a little bit easier for you to kind of see. And this one here, Gmail, and we'll call this Spanish. I'm going to take a Spanish edition here. I'm just going to do this here, copy this, and let's actually go into ChatGPT. So now it's going to do the Spanish edition. There we go. Go back to my N8N, and over here, I'm just going to paste that in. Okay, so it's picked it up. That's correct. Good. Okay, and that is good. The JSON email is correct. So all that's set up. Okay, so now at this point, we're going to be using something called a merge node. All right, so I'm going to use a merge node here. So it's called merge. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to have two inputs here. All right, this thing does not fire unless both of these inputs are true. Okay, it just won't fire. Once it comes in and it's all done and both of these are connected, then it will actually output out. All right, so it needs both of them before it can actually output out. Okay, so that means that both the English and the Spanish, nodes need to fire correctly, or else this won't work. Okay, so there we go. And so now we're going to actually test this out here and see how it works. All right, so I'm going to click on test workflow here, and we're going to go into our front end that we made. All right, there we go. And I'm just going to hit send again. So there we go, hit send. All right, and if you guys can see that, there we go. So it picked up those two. I should have now an English and Spanish email for John Doe. All right, so if I come back here, I click on refresh, and there it is, English and Spanish. So here we go, we got a little bit of a bug. All right, so we didn't get the name correctly. So let's go back and see what happened here and kind of, try and decipher what's going on here. So right here, the code was supposed to get this information here. Now, unfortunately, this is what happened with the output. So that's another bug. And we want to kind of start addressing these things. And now you're thinking through the testing, right? Do you remember how we were discussing SPLAT? We've laid out the nodes, so that's done. All right. We determined that AI is needed, so that's done. But now we're in the testing phase. This is the last step before we actually have the final flow ready to go for our customers or our clients. All right. So now what we're going to do here is, in this scenario here, we're going to go over here and we're going to say, hey, you know what? Like this output is really a problem. So we're going to show this over to ChatGPT and say, hey, this is what we got. What would be the solution? Okay. And that's the whole point, is you're not going to know all the answers. All right. So that's what that is. So I'm going to show it the current code that I have. Just say, okay, so this is the current code I have. Can you adjust it to protect against that edge case. That's it. All right. So now it's going to go and recode that so that it also takes care of that specific edge case that we just experienced. All right. So now it's going to do all of this to make sure that, that can't happen. So I'm going to copy this here. And that's one of the edge cases. That's what we call it inside of programming. And now I just paste this in. There we go. And then I save everything and we're going to run this again. So we're going to test it out. Click on test workflow. All right. And we're going to go back here. And we're going to send the data. There we go. It's running. All right. It's picked it up. And we should see now another 2 more drafts. There we go. It's picked up John and the phone number and all the information correctly. Now that I have this running, now I have to actually create a front-end edition or a production edition of this for my customer. All right. So that's the next step. How do we do that? Well, first and foremost, what we need to do is make this active. All right. Okay. So now it's active. However, our actual webhook is in the test version, not the production. So now we need to change this to a production URL. Okay. Just like that. I'm going to click on this here to copy it. All right. We're going to come back here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go back into our actual code. All right. And we're going to now replace this front end here with the new, production edition hook. That's it. Okay. So now that I have that, at this point, I want to be able to access it via my cell phone. However, my phone can't access my desktop computer. So I need to have a website where I'm going to upload this actual, app itself. So let me go and do that now. All right, so here we go. This is the actual, front end here, and I put it onto my main website, solomonchrist.com. But, you want to upload it into a web server. So now I can enter some information. So I'm going to now literally use my phone to do this. Okay, so I'm going to now go on my phone. Got my phone here. All right, and if you could see this here, like it's literally, I got the same thing on my phone now. Okay, so there it is. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing that my customer is going to do. All right, so I'm actually going to watch my, my workflow here. Okay, now I'm not going to see it here. I'm going to see it in the executions tab right here. So I'm going to put this information in here now. So Mark Smith 111-222-223-3333-4444, whatever. And I'm hitting send. There we go. Okay, so now I should be getting back. There it is, right? That's the actual command there. Okay, it says that it ran. All right. I should see 2 draft emails inside of here. All right. There they are. Look at that. All right. Ready to go. I've got a web app running on my phone that I custom built, ready to go for my customer. All they have to do is just copy and paste any text that they have into this, and boom, literally my automation runs, and they're happy because now they save time. Automatically generates the emails in English and Spanish for them. All right. These are pre-populated Spanish items. So it's not doing any of that, editing at this point, but you get the idea. And there you have it. If you're as excited as I am about this stuff, I'm telling you, this is exactly why. We're saving time. We're saving money. We're helping people out. That's what this is about. And it's my hope that you get to learn these, incredible systems and tools. N8N is incredible. AI, it's so powerful. I truly believe that this is a life skill, just like the early days of when we were learning how to use a spreadsheet. I truly believe that automations and AI and all this stuff coming together and real world use cases are going to be the future. And it's going to require us not to just do some fancy demos of what this AI stuff can do, but actually show people how this will work in their day-to-day lives. How can they use AI to save them time, to save them money, to bring back more stuff for them so that they can live the greatest lives ever lived. We're building a huge community of AI automators and AI professionals, so we would love to see you in there as well. Please join my school community. Go ahead, click on the link below, and we'd love to see you in that community, bringing your incredible value and your talent together and learning from others. Listen, I don't know everything, just like I'm sure you don't know everything, but I believe in the motto, all ships rise together. And so together we can learn, we can grow, and help bring these incredible technologies to the world. So thanks so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you again in another future training. Take care. Bye-bye.